Mr. Successfully Unemployed, Dustin Heiner himself. Dustin, tell me a little bit about you.
Hey, Jesse. Thank you so much for having me. I love the Growth House. I love everything you're doing. I'm just super impressed. This is fantastic. Yeah. So I am a real estate investor. That's literally what I am. I love investing in real estate. I love everything from single family homes to multifamily to syndications where you're pulling people's money together and doing passive investing, apartment complexes, storage units, like literally all types of investing. Literally love all of that stuff. Along with that, I realized that as I was quitting my job that I had so many people asking me, well, Dustin, how are you quitting your job? And I like the term successfully unemployed because
I love that.
I figured a way to make money to provide for my family without working that dead end job. That's a just over broke job. Because everybody, when you're working a job, you're living just over broke. Because your boss is only paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much money that takes money out of their pocket. So if you got paid for what you're worth, they'd probably go broke. So you're working just over broke. But as I was quitting my job, I had so many people asking me, well, how are you doing that? And I would explain, I invest in real estate. I buy rental properties. I make passive income that makes me money every single month without working. Second question always came like clockwork from every single person. Can you show me how to do that?
Right.
I guess. And I start showing people, and I was showing friends and family members and people in my church and everything how to actually invest in real estate. And I realized I enjoyed it. But I realized the second thing, it takes so much time teaching people one-on-one. Oh my goodness. They had great questions, but they're beginner questions. And I thought, my goodness, why don't I just put it all into a book? So I got all the questions that normally people would ask, and I obviously fleshed it out a little more of how to build a business, how to make sure that you can scale it to quit your job and provide for all your income that you're bringing in from your job so you can quit. And with that, I wrote a book, and it's not at all creative title at all. It's straightforward. It's How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties. Completely straightforward.
That caught my attention once I saw that. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to read this.
Straightforward. And I would give that out to anybody. Like literally, here, read this first, and then this will answer the majority of your questions. They're beginner questions, but it'll answer the majority of them. And then when you're ready, you're going to have better questions that apply to you specifically. So fast forward, I started doing that, giving out the books. And I started realizing after they read the book, that was when I started having more fun with the coaching because I could figure out where they were, where they wanted to go, like what their risk tolerances were, what their goals were, and be able to give them a direction and say, here are your options. Because in real estate investing, a lot of people, until they actually get into real estate investing, they think there are maybe one or two ways to invest. They think, okay, here's one way. You find a mortgage broker and a realtor and you put them together and you buy a house and that's investing. Like that's only one way. There's so many more ways and there's so many more options. And so what I would do with all of my friends and family members, people that came to me, I would give them all the options because there are loads and loads of options on how to do it. Everything from getting money to buy to finding deals or having other people send you deals to running the properties, all this sort of stuff. And I realized that was fun, planning and strategizing and getting their goals and their risk tolerances. Fast forward now, this is what I do for fun, is I literally get to teach people how to change their lives by investing in real estate. I have my own podcast where I talk about investing, my own YouTube channel. I even have a conference, which obviously that's where you and I met. And I love being able to help people become financially independent with real estate investing. It's literally amazing. One last thing I'll quickly say was that I just got an email it was a Facebook message from a listener of my podcast. I'm really blessed. Praise the Lord. I just hit like 1 million downloads. It's more now. Yeah. On my podcast, the Master Passive Income podcast. And one lady, without even like coaching or anything, she just listens to the podcast and she bought her first property and she emails me, Dustin, just from listening to your podcast, I bought my first property. It's making passive income and I'm doing it. I'm like, that's the goal, is to get people to change their lives. It's just amazing being able to bless and serve so many people.
That's so awesome. Yes. And that's how I met you. Well, that's how I was introduced to you, was through your podcast.
Awesome. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that.
So I listened to your podcast, found out you had REWBCON coming up. Heard the tickets were on sale. I'm like, I got to be the early bird. I need to get this right away. And so it's literally how I got connected with you, and then we met in person.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then fast forward from then to now, I'm seeing everything that you're doing here at the Growth House and everything that you are wanting to do overall in business and investing. I'm like, Jesse, you got to come speak at REWBCON, at the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, my conference that I put on. You got to speak because this type of idea, you're basically, you're investing in real estate.
100%.
And you're also investing in people, which is, and serving people, which is like two things that I absolutely love. I love real estate and I love serving people. And this model, most people wouldn't even think, I wouldn't have thought about that. And I told you the first time I came here, when we had one of the meetups for the real estate, I said, if I wasn't married and I didn't have 4 kids, I would literally be living here. Like, this is phenomenal, because when I started investing in 2006, I was all by myself. I was plowing through it. I was doing all the mistakes, and there wasn't podcasts. There weren't YouTube videos. I don't know if that was even around when I started in 2006. And it was all alone. I felt so alone, but at the same time, I knew that it was possible, and I just kept moving forward. And then fast forward now, with the internet, with the social media, with being able to connect with other people, it is so amazing that we can all help each other out. And now having you come speak at REWBCON, I'm blown away that this business model is fantastic, and you're also building generational wealth, because you're owning the real estate.
Correct.
You're renting out still. Let's say, if you buy one rental property, it's a single family home. You rent out the entire lot, that piece of land. Well, you're renting out rooms. That's still land. That's still a smaller portion. But then for economies of scale, you have more rooms to rent as opposed to one. Long story short, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think
give away all the secret sauce right now.
Well, that's what that's what I want. I said,
talking about.
Yes, at REWBCON, I was like, you have to share this, because this is a brilliant business model.
No, I'm completely honored. And dive a little bit more into, the REWBCON experience.
Yeah. So what I have found out that through podcasting, through YouTubing, and through serving other people, I love serving more people. The more people that I serve, the better my life gets and the better other people's lives get. That I've met so many awesome people. So I started calling up all my friends. So these are people that have their own podcast, their own YouTube channel, their own influence. They're all my friends, because we help each other out, and we got to know each other, and they're genuine people. And I said, hey, my students literally want a meetup. They say, we're friends online, but we all want to get together and get to know each other one-on-one in person. I said, that's a great idea to get together. And I thought, that's a lot of work to put together a meetup for like 20 people. Why don't I don't do it like you, just like you. We're a lot alike. I don't do anything small scale.
Right.
Like, I was like,
we shoot for the moon.
Exactly. So I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
I'm going to create an entire conference where it's all about community. It's not about, well, if you've ever been to a real estate investor conference, usually it's all hype and it's all a sales pitch. And what they say is at the very end, okay, right now, my services, it's normally $1 million, but if you run to the back right now, it'll be $1,000 right now, and it'll bring in your family and all that sort of stuff. It's all hype. It's the sales pitch.
We've all been to those conferences.
Absolutely. I've been to them. And that's like, I hate going to real estate conferences, because that's what they are. And I thought, I want a community. I want people that we can all just help each other out. We're genuine people, and that's what we want to do, is help each other out. And so I had that idea to create a conference that would just be a community. No sales pitch. It's literally helping each other out. So I called up literally 30 of my friends that are all influencers that have all this, great stuff going on in their own right. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm not going to do it by myself. I need your help. Would you want to be a part of it? And like dominoes, every single one. Yes, yes, yes. We had 30 plus of my friends that came and shared at REWBCON everything from, I do single family homes. That's what I invest in. But short-term rental properties like Airbnb, to storage units, to multifamily, to land investing, like every type of investing, it's all under one roof, and it's all a community. That's the biggest thing. When you really think about it, that's what REWBCON, or the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, is all about: community. 100%. Because as we help each other out, everything gets better. And investing, business, and anything in life doesn't have to be where somebody loses and somebody wins. It doesn't have to be. In fact, it can be better if you do a win-win, but it's even better if you do a win-win-win, where literally every single person wins. It takes a lot more work to get to that point where everybody wins. Let me give you a quick example. So I'm creating a business called the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. That's a business. Now I'm putting a lot on the line, like $500,000 ready. Just like, if everything fails, I got to pay the hotel $500,000. It's like, okay, well, let's just try it. And I'm really blessed. Praise the Lord. Everything worked out. I didn't lose money. So my wife said it was okay for me to do another one, but I'm putting on this conference to build a company. So I'm winning if it works out. The next thing, I have my friends who are investors on their own. They're expert investors. And they are going to come and help me but they're also going to win because they're going to get in front of a bigger audience. They're going to get in front of a lot of other people. They're going to be a part of the community and seen as, hey, this is a REWBCON expert. Like Dustin's already approved this person to be here speaking. So they're winning again. And then the attendees are winning on top of that. The attendees are winning because they're getting to see so many other ways to invest. Like my students, I think I probably had like 100 of my students actually come to REWBCON, and a lot of them found other coaches or other experts or even tax accountants that they can work with, because we're all winning. Because I'm like, no, we're all just good people. I don't want anybody to lose. I don't want to take yours. I don't want you to take mine. It's just like, no, we're all here to help each other out. So that's how REWBCON came about, calling all my friends, and they all said, hey, let's just make one big meetup for all of us to get together and help everybody out. And then from that point forward, all the attendees became so much more a part of REWBCON. I even had one last thing I'll quickly share. We do have once a month, because remember, it's a community. It's not one time a year. We're having this event, and that's where the community is. So we're having a monthly Zoom meeting. We're calling it a happy hour, REWBCON happy hour, where we all get together on Zoom and we continue the community. Well, one of the attendees of the conference, he started talking about it as it's his conference. Oh yeah, this is our conference. This is my conference and all that sort of stuff. And he like apologized. Oh, Dustin, sorry. I know it's your conference. I know it's your company. I'm like, no, please. I want you to feel like this is yours, because I'm just trying to get people together. And if the people aren't coming because they are not getting the value out of it, then it's not worth anything. I don't want to create something where it's all hype and sales pitch and make money. No, the goal is to serve people.
And that's where we connect. Like at the end of the day, that's where we see each other's visions. We're like, wow, we do align on each other's visions. Because what are we doing tonight? We're hosting a masterclass. You coming in, speaking. You crushed it last time.
Thanks.
You were here like what, 4 months ago. I saw people saying, hey, can we have Dustin come back?
I love it.
And a lot of them are like, hey, Dustin's the one that got me actually thinking about out-of-state properties, because you mentioned it's not that scary. You want to dive into that a little bit? Just a little clip on that?
Would love to. So when I first started investing, it was 2006, and I lived in California. And in California, 2006, the prices were just skyrocketing. And I could not buy a property. Remember, I was just by myself. I'm just trying to figure this out. And I couldn't buy a property in California where I can make money and passive income, because I only invest for passive income. This is generational wealth that I'm creating. So number one, any passive income that I make is going to help feed my family. But number two, I'm also creating generational wealth where I will literally give these properties to my kids and teach them how to invest in real estate. But at the time, I was trying to buy for passive income, and in California, you couldn't buy a property and make passive income.
Stuff.
Yeah, prices were so high. Even now, I mean, it's still the same thing. So I went out of state, and I figured this out on my own. But here's how I did it. I'll give you quickly the wrong way to do it. Everybody forget it. As soon as I tell you, forget how to do this. But this is what the gurus tell you, because I went to one of those conferences, and they said, this is what you do. Run to the back, give us thousands of dollars, which I did. And long story short, I did it, and it failed. So this is what they said. You want to find a property anywhere in the country. You find the property and you run the numbers to make sure you make a little bit of money in passive income, like $50, maybe $100 at most. But they said you're also going to get appreciation, which is what you're going to love. I'll pause this and say, I don't invest for appreciation. Like I said, I'm literally going to give these properties to my kids, and they make me money. Why would I sell it if I can make money every single month? So getting back to the story, what they say is run the numbers. And if you make a little bit of money in passive income, that'd be great, but you also get appreciation. And then you spend thousands of dollars to buy the property, then spend thousands of dollars to fix up the property, and then you find a tenant to move in there and pay you rent, and then you find a property manager. Well, in my opinion, that's just about backwards. What we do here at Master Passive Income, what I did, so quickly, before I jump into that, because I will jump into that, because I have to tell you the right way. That was the wrong way. And the wrong way, my property manager, because I followed that way, started stealing from me within 6 months. Wow. It was absolutely horrible. I was like, what is going on? Like, I thought this was supposed to work, and it's not working. But if I would have given up and I would have hung my head and say, oh, it doesn't work. You know, my Aunt Gertrude, or I'm just making up a name, it said it wasn't going to, because everybody has an aunt that's done real estate and said, don't do it because you're going to have these 2 a.m. phone calls. It's going to happen. You're going to get these problems. If you give up, then you're not going to see the fruit of it. You're going to have setbacks. But the great thing about it, being around people like you, Jesse, and being around the Growth House, you're also going to be around people who have had experiences. I was just talking with Jashawn, and we were talking about learning. And on top of that learning, see, a smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
And so if you get around the right people, like being at the growth house, you come to the meetups or anything like that, where you get around people who've already done it. I've failed so many times. And because of that, I lead by, hey, I did it this way. It didn't work. So don't do that. Do it this way. So this is what I did. I realized that I was following the gurus, quote unquote gurus who were saying this, but I've always been entrepreneurial. And I've always, entrepreneurial, starting businesses. So I've had lots of business. I had a newspaper route when I was a kid. I had a graphic and website design company. I started a skateboard manufacturing business. I had a pizzeria and convenience store. Like I had lots of businesses. None were enough to where I could become successfully unemployed, but I always wanted to have businesses. When I realized that my rental properties or I had one at a time, was now a liability because the property manager was stealing from me, because of that, I realized that I did it wrong. Why don't I approach it with the mindset of a business owner? If I approach it as a business owner, create a business that runs itself, because I've done it many times, why don't I do that? So this is why, remember, everything I told you, that's the wrong way.
Don't do it that way.
Don't do it that way. Here's the right way to do it. Remember, I said everything they said is about backwards. So this is what I do, and this is what I coach everybody. So we invest out of state. I love investing out of state. I don't mind investing where I live. It's just I live in a more expensive area, and there are better places to live to invest that give a good amount of passive income. This is what we do. We find an area of the country, a city, anywhere in the country that has good inventory. Inventory meaning, remember, it's a business. We're buying inventory. Before I get that, let me quickly give you an example of what inventory looks like. So if you're going to start a convenience store, a convenience store, it's soda bar, or soda machines and candy bars and all that sort of stuff. Well, you're not going to sign a lease on a locations, open the door, and set a box of candy bars in there on the ground. You're not going to do that. You go out of business in like 2 seconds. What you would do, though, is you would build the business first. You get the gondolas, those are the countertops, the shelving units that you put all the candy bars on. You get the fountain machines. You get the cold storage, bank accounts, cash registers, insurance, employees, all the sort of things inside the business before you buy any inventory. Once you have the entire business built up, that's when you buy the inventory and put it into the business. Same thing with real estate investing. We build the entire business first, and then we buy inventory. Your properties that you buy, because your gurus will tell you that property that you buy, that is your business. No. My business owns inventory. My properties are my inventory. So I buy a piece of inventory because I already have the business built. I just put that into my business, and then it runs on its own because I have the business built. Now, this is what it looks like when you're going to build your business in real estate investing. We find a city anywhere in the country where we want to invest, and we look for inventory, the right types of homes that we want to buy. And my suggestion, cookie cutter homes. I love cookie cutter type homes. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 to maybe 1,600 square feet. Every type of property that every single person who wants to rent or buy, those are the types of houses. Like there are lots of them, and they're very, very valuable to people who want to rent or buy.
Those are the highest demand.
Correct. Okay. Either to rent or to buy.
Okay.
And I love renting to families, because families, the parents have a job in the area. They go to school in the area. It's really hard for them to move. And I want tenants to stay in there. I give good properties at decent rates. So they're not going to be the highest where they're going to be just, wasting money. I love having tenants stay there for 15 years because the rents stay low. It's like, you take care of the property. Hey, I'm already making money, because when I bought it, I make money when I buy the property, and I'm already making money in passive income. And so I'm just going to keep them in there as long as I can. So getting back to building the business. So anywhere in the country, and like I said, this is out of state, we find a city that has good inventory, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200, 1,600 square feet. But here's the key. We need to make sure that we're making $250 or more in passive income from every property that you buy. If you cannot get that, don't buy it. Or if you cannot get that, lower your offer so that the price comes down, so your mortgage payment comes down, so your costs come down, that the passive income goes up. So that's what we do, is we look for a city that has good inventory. Now, once we find that we have good inventory and lots of inventory, you don't want to buy in a city that just has one property, and you buy it and you're like, oh man, there's no more properties. I can't build my business anymore. Right. Then you have to go to another city and do it all over again. We don't want to do that. Good big cities. I'll give you a quick example. Like Midwest is really, really good. Down in the Southeast, in the Carolinas, and the Florida are fantastic.
Tell us some cities.
Okay. So right now, it's getting a little higher because a lot of my students are investing there, but a lot of other people. Memphis is really good. Okay. Indianapolis is really good. Charlestown's okay. Let's see, a couple other ones. Birmingham, Alabama. A lot of my students are really investing there. But yeah, there are like I said, the Midwest are fantastic, down to the Carolinas. So when you're finding these cities, you're going to see that there's inventory. Now, what other people tell you is, okay, just find a property, run the numbers, buy it, like all the wrong way. We don't do that. What we do first, remember, we build the business. I made sure that I can have a business that has inventory, that I can buy inventory. Then I pause looking at properties. Now I can analyze properties, I can see them, but most likely when I'm done building the business, it's not going, the properties are not going to be there anymore because they're already sold, which is fine. More properties will come on the market. What we do now, remember I said the other guru way is backwards. From there, we start interviewing property managers.
Oh, because property managers before you actually buy the house.
100%. Because I'll give you an example. I'm not an expert, and other people, like investors, aren't experts. And the example is my students would come to me and say, hey, Dustin, this is a city you invest in. You're the expert. And would you tell me about this? I go, whoa, pause. No, I'm not the expert.
Property managers.
Yes. The people that I hire, the property manager, the realtors, the inspectors, the plumbers, the roofers, the contractors, like they are the experts. They're on the ground. Now, even though I invest in that city, I have a good knowledge because I've been doing it for however long. I may know what I know, but at the same time, I don't live there. I have no clue what's changed. I'll give you a quick sidebar example of what's changed. So I was investing in one city, and the bad area was like the southwest, and I was investing on the southeast. Well, it's been a while, 15 years now, the bad area is starting to creep over into the southeast. I wouldn't know that until my property manager started mentioning to me, hey, this is what's happening. I'm like, wow. Like I would just still be operating on 2010, information. But the experts are there on the ground. Like Zillow is not an expert. Trulia, Redfin, like all those websites, they're just databases. They are not the experts. Who are the experts is the people that literally live there on the ground. So getting back to the process, inventory first. And then once we know we can build a business, we find a manager, a property manager. It'd be like starting a convenience store. If you didn't do it this way, what I'm telling you, it'd be like starting a convenience store and going to open the doors and find somebody on the street and say, hey, you got a pulse, come on in here, manage my business, manage my money, manage my employees, take care of my customers. No, you wouldn't do that.
We would never do it that way.
You would never. Yeah. You would interview and you'd make sure you find the right people for the job. So what we do is we interview property managers. And I've done this where I literally, and I don't fly anymore to cities. In fact, I have many cities I invest in that I've never been to. I just don't care because I have experts. They do all that stuff. We can talk about that later. But what we do is we find the experts that do this. But when I first got started, it was like 2010, I flew into a specific city and I could not find a property manager. Now, this was before like lots of stuff on the internet, Yelp and all that sort of stuff. So now it's a little better probably, but I didn't invest there because I could not find a property manager. I couldn't find somebody to manage the property. So imagine if you bought a property, you followed what the gurus say, you bought a property, and then in buying that property, you rent it out, and then you try to go find a property manager. You call up every single property manager you can find, and then all of them say, well, no, I'm not going to manage that property. I'll get shot if I go over there. There's no way. You're like, whoa, man, you no longer have an asset anymore. It's now liability. Now, liabilities now are costing you money. It's no point in doing that. So we find the property managers first. Now, getting back to the process, property managers, we interview them. In fact, I give all my students a list of at least 22 different questions and answers for what the property managers, so questions to ask, answers from the property managers that you need to ask them. And I give them how to interview, what to say, what not to say, and all that sort of stuff.
Because we're on the Growth House podcast, Dustin, do you want to have, like a little sample? 2 questions that you need to ask your property manager?
I'll give you one that I only give to one-on-one coaching students, but I'll give it to you because I don't put this in the list. So anyways, a long story short, this is the bonus. Like this, literally only to one-on-one coaching students. If you are, as you are talking to every single property manager that you have there, what you're going to ask all of these property managers, because remember, we're interviewing lots of property managers. You ask them a question. If you, property manager, were to invest your money right now in this city, where would it be? And the reason why we're asking the question is we want to know where the good areas are and where the bad areas are. Because if they're going to invest their money there, more than likely it'll be good for you as well. Because a lot of property managers, like the end goal is to know where not to spend your money. Because you're going to have bad area. A lot of property managers will say, well, I'm not going to tell you the bad areas because it might be discrimination, all that sort of stuff, which that's fine. Just tell me where you would. And then let's say you're interviewing 7, 10, 15 different property managers, and everybody says every other area other than the Southeast, then you probably know, don't invest in the Southeast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
point.
100%, it's asking right questions that you need to know. Other ones are like, how much do you charge? What happens when this happens? Like, there's a lot of great questions that you need to ask. A big one I like to ask is, on top of where they would invest, is what is their experience level with bad tenants? Like, what is your turnover? Like, basically, I want to know this area that you're going to be investing in. How fast do people move out? What's the vacancy factor?
Right.
Because they should know that, because they're property managers. A lot of other questions we can go through. So we interview, we ask lots and lots of questions. Here's another tip. And I love this saying. I didn't come up with it. Somebody else did. But we hire slow, but we fire fast. We hire very, very slow, because I want my property managers to be working. I want to be working with them for 10, 15, 20 years. I don't even want to talk to them on the phone. Take care of my business so I can go play with my kids and travel the world. That's literally, I love traveling the world. And so I'll quickly say that in 2017, when I quit my job, I went to Japan for 6 weeks. And I didn't even look at my business, didn't even do anything, because my property manager was running all the business. We went around 2,000 miles driving around the left-hand side of Japan. It was a lot of fun, 6 weeks doing that. In 2018, we went to Europe. We went to 11 different countries in Europe on a 6-week trip again. 2019, and remember, all this time, not even thinking about my business, my real estate, because it's all running on its own. In 2019, a 4-week field trip. We homeschool, so that's why I call it a field trip. But we went from Florida, drove all the way up to Washington, D.C. and New York as a big field trip, seeing all the sites. It was amazing, but I didn't actually think about my business, didn't talk to my property managers, because they do all the work. Getting back to the property managers.
Question real quick.
Go ahead.
People talk about how real estate is passive. What's your thoughts there? It sounds like you've actually mastered, like your podcast, actual, passive income in real estate.
Yes. And the reason why I actually got the name Master Passive Income is because when I buy one property, it literally takes 3 hours or less of my time to actually buy it. Well, number one, find it. Number two, buy it, finance it. And number three, get it fixed up and then get it rented. Just 3 hours of my time. And that is very, very minimal. And it's probably even less than that, because I have other people send me deals. I have wholesalers, realtors, other investors, property managers sending me deals. I just look at them, drink my coffee and look at the email and say, hey, is this a good property? Okay, I'll buy it. And then I get my mortgage broker, because remember, I've already built the business. Hey, mortgage broker, I want to buy this property, get to work. They get to work. That takes 5 minutes of my time. And then get the paperwork. I just look over the paperwork once everything's going and sign that. And that's another 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then do a wire transfer. That's another 20 minutes at most, maybe 30 minutes if I drive to the bank. But it's like less than 3 hours. From that point forward, I don't do anything. I literally have given everybody in my business, property managers, contractors, roofers, inspectors, everybody, they have business processes and procedures and systems in place that I tell them how I want them to run it, and they run it that way. That's why I was like, man, I've mastered passive income. I bought this property. It took me 3 hours of my own time or less, and I don't do a thing after that. And so it's like, you will have a lot of people say, well, real estate investing is not passive. You have to, fix toilets. You have to do this. And I'm like, no, I don't. I have other people take care of that. And here's another question I get from a lot of people, or a statement. They'll say, man, how do you afford property managers? I can't do that. I can't afford property managers. I have to do it on my own. I'm like, well, sadly, and I don't say this, but this is really what it comes down to. You did it wrong. Here's the great thing. I don't pay my taxes on any of my properties. I don't pay my mortgage. I don't pay my property managers. I don't pay for insurance. I don't pay for anything. My tenants pay for all that. It just so happens the money goes into me and out through my, to all the bills and the businesses. But I don't have to get a job to hire a property manager. And so when somebody says, well, I can't afford a property manager, well, sadly, you paid too much for it. Because what we do, and I'm not that smart. Everybody here watching and listening to this is much smarter than me. All I do is addition and subtraction and a little bit of multiplication if you want to quit your job.
I can do that, so I'm listening.
Really, really simple. What we do is we add up all of our expenses. Addition. So add up all of our expenses, and then we get a total. That's all of our expenses for the property. Mortgage, insurance, property manager fees, vacancy factor, repairs, capital expenses. Like we calculate all that up. It's not that hard. We can get that. And it's fairly fixed. It doesn't really go up over time. That's the great thing. Your mortgage doesn't go up over time. It stays the same, which is great. Your insurance doesn't really go up. Your taxes maybe just a little bit, but it's fairly fixed.
Right.
Your rents go up all the time, which is great. So
yes.
Remember, get back to the equation, add up all your expenses, you get your total. And then you get your rent, your income, how much you can make from the property. My suggestion is $250 or more above your expenses. And so that difference, so you calculate all your expenses, add them all together, and you hopefully can rent it for $250 more. That difference is your passive income. And you've already accounted for your property manager. You already accounted for the taxes, and the tenants are paying for that. Now, when I say multiplication, it's just addition and subtraction. Multiplication is if you're making $250 a month from one property, well, that is $3,000 a year in passive income. That's not working at all. Other people are doing the work. But if you want to quit your job, like I asked my wife, I said, hey, honey, how much money do we have in our expenses every single month? And I remember the number. It was $4,200, mortgage and car payments and insurance, all that sort of stuff. $4,200. I said, okay, $4,200. Well, one property making me $250 a month. That is $3,000 a year. Well, that's good. What if I bought 10 properties? That's $2,500 a month. That's $30,000 a year without working. 20 properties, that's $5,000 a month. Remember, that's a minimum. That's $250 minimum. I have some properties making me $700, $800, $900 a month because rents go up over time, and I buy them better, which means I buy them lower, which I make even more money in passive income. If you buy 20 properties, that is $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year without working. If you have 40 properties, that's $120,000 a year, and it just goes up from there. And remember, if you do it right, you have your business running for you without you even working. That's how I scaled my business. And I think it was like 5 or 6 years, I was able to quit my job. Now, I have students, like, I kid you not, students literally within like 3 years being able to quit their job because, like, remember the statement, smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from others. So with them coming to me for coaching and getting past all of my hurdles where I can leapfrog, I can fast track them into success. They win so fast. In fact, I'll quickly give you one last thing. So one of my students, he started coaching with me in December of 2019. Okay. So right before COVID happened, he started coaching with me. He didn't know anything. He started learning, went through all the courses and everything, and we started coaching. No kidding. In 18 months from the time he started, 18 months later, he accumulated 22 units. So 11 duplexes, 22 units, and majority of them without any of his own money. I can go into details. It's absolutely amazing. One quick detail. His very first property, so you think about baseball, a single's really good, double's better, triple's great, home run's great, but what's best? Grand Slam. This was literally Grand Slam. I'll quickly give you the numbers. He bought it for $50,000. He used his home equity line of credit, and he spent, I think it was like $52,000 because after rehab and everything, bought the property. It was making him a total of like $600 a month or $700 a month from this duplex. And then he refinanced it, pulled all the cash back out. He actually only had like $2,500 of his own money still in the property. Everything else was back in his pocket. He went and did it again. And he wouldn't have known that if I didn't coach him through that.
100%.
And now he's done that over and over and over again. Now I think he's like at $7,000, $8,000. He enjoys his job. So he keeps doing it, but he keeps growing. He keeps doing his business. But here's a great thing about I love what I am able to do. So we were on coaching calls. His name is Benjamin. He's a great guy. We were on coaching calls, and he was having, it's called analysis paralysis, where you have so many numbers going in your head, so many deals.
I was there.
Yeah, you get stuck. And then me being a third party that's done it before, I'm like, hey, Benjamin, this is a good deal. Like, I would do it. This is a good deal. He's like, I don't know. And then we get off the call, and then maybe a week later, we get another call. And, here's this property. I'm really thinking, what do you think? I'm like, it's a good property. The same thing. It's a good property. Over and over again, this happened. And I said, Benjamin, I finally got fed up. Benjamin, if you're not going to buy it, give it to me. I'll buy it. And it was like a light bulb. And he said, well, if Dustin really wants it, then it might be good. And that was him getting his first property, which was literally a Grand Slam. Awesome. It was amazing. But fast forward 18 months now, he has 22 units. And that was probably 6 months ago when I talked to him. He's probably grown from there. But what happens is when you build the business, all it is scaling from there
100%.
And getting the money, the finances ready. It could be private money, could be hard money, could be commercial loans. I've even done signature loans where you go into a bank and just get sign your name like a unsecured line of credit. I've even used credit cards to buy properties, and it's an advanced strategy. So not everybody do that. It's definitely an advanced strategy.
Don't go do that right now.
But I had a business that I knew if I borrowed this money, I can account for that expense of that credit card because the business is going to pay for itself. Here's an example of what that would look like. If you're going to buy a candy bar and you're going to buy it for 50 cents, but you know you can sell it for $1, well, that's 50 cents. But it's going to cost you 25 cents to buy that candy bar just to borrow the money. That's 75 cents. Well, you're still going to make 25 cents. Would you not still make that business transaction? Absolutely. You're going to make 25 cents every single time. So why not do that? So we account for those expenses just like we account for our property manager, account for our insurance. Man, so many great things. So yeah, that's how we love to invest out of state, because we account for everything and we have experts running the business for us.
Love that. So to wrap it up, we're in 2022, September.
It is.
2022. Interest rates have gone a little bit higher. For the intro, the beginners who want to get their first property, what's some advice? Should they be scared? Interest rates going up, who knows what's going to happen? What do you say to that?
I actually am excited that interest rates are going up. Here's a really big reason why. When interest rates go up, prices come down. Prices come down. And when I say prices come down, it's because everybody only has a certain amount of money to pay for either a mortgage or rent. Let's say right now the average $1,800. Just for example, let's say everybody in the area only has $1,800. That's the most they can afford out of their pocket because of other, car bills and all that sort of stuff to pay for rent or a mortgage. Well, as interest rates go up, that $1,800 doesn't go nearly as far. Where $1,800, when interest rates are like at 2%, you could buy a $400,000 house. But now with interest rates going up, that means prices come down because they can't afford those $450,000 houses. Now what they can afford is a $250,000 or maybe even a $300 house, or they're going to go bankrupt. Like they can't do it, and the lenders won't actually lend the money. So all that to say, prices will come down. But here's the great thing about the way even if interest rates go up, even if prices go up, we still make sure we buy the property where we capture equity, which means we buy it for lower than it's worth. So we capture that equity, but we also make passive income. We don't buy it unless we make money on that property. Like you would not buy a candy bar for $1.25 if you could only sell it for $1.
Right.
Why would you do that? That would be dumb. You wouldn't do that. But what we do is we make good business decisions, just like with the growth house. You make sure that you have a business model and inventory, like your inventory's rooms. You have inventory, but you have the business model that's proven that you're going to make money. You would not go into business knowing you're going to lose money. At least I wouldn't.
Right.
And I don't do that.
I love that. Dustin, I appreciate you being here. I know we have a masterclass you're about to speak at. REWBCON, give us some details, and then how do people find you? Absolutely.
So if you go to the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, REWBCON.com, REWBCON.com, and you're going to be learning about everything about real estate investing if you come to the conference. Jesse's going to be speaking. I'm going to be speaking, and lots of other fantastic investors are going to be speaking. It's going to be in Phoenix, May of 2023, May 4th through the 6th. But if you use the promo code Jesse, and I'll get you 10% off of the ticket. And I just want people to come. It's all about building a community, and it's all about helping more and more people out. So come to REWBCON.com. You can also check out my podcast, the Master Passive Income Podcast. I just hit $1 million download, so I was like, what's the deal? I thought it might get like 10 downloads when I first got started. I didn't think $1 million. So
that's how I found him. So it's working. It's amazing.
And then the YouTube channel, masterpassiveincome.com, or the YouTube channel, just look up Master Passive Income. But I just love helping people. And so I shared this at REWBCON last year in March of 2022, that my goal in life, and hopefully I'll be able to hit that, is to make or help 1 million people become financially independent through investing in real estate or starting businesses or something like that. Like that's my goal. And honestly, like I said this in the beginning, the more people that I serve, the more people that I help get what they want, the better my life gets and the better everybody else's life gets. So I want to see you at REWBCON, and I would love to have you check out Jesse and the Growth House. Like this is literally legit. Like I said, if I wasn't married and didn't have 4 kids, I would be living here.
I love that. Dustin, I appreciate you so much. You're the most humble, just giving, selfless people I know, a real servant leader. And I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Jesse. I appreciate you.
TheJesseRay with the Growth House with Dustin Heiner. All right, we're out. Love it. Love it. Love it. That was fire.